ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। We are reading from the book Meditation and Spiritual Life by Swami Yatiswarananda. We are currently in chapter number 28, Spiritual Transformation, and we are about to begin the section Human Habits and Tendencies. There are different theories about our subtle habits and tendencies which are to be conquered, transmuted, and transcended in spiritual life. The Bhagavad Gita describes three types of men characterized by tamas, rajas, and sattva. Tamas dominates the animal man and is characterized by darkness and ignorance, heedlessness and delusion. Rajas is characterized by passion and restlessness that dominate the average human being with all the attendant discord and suffering. Sattva dominates the man of spiritual inclination and is characterized by knowledge and harmony. So he makes a reference here to the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verses 11 to 13, 11, 12 and 13. So there will be a lot of references to the Bhagavad Gita verses in this section. I will read his description, then I will read the original verse or verses and their translations. So let me read that part again. Tamas dominates the animal man and is characterized by darkness and ignorance, heedlessness and delusion. Rajas is characterized by passion and restlessness that dominate the average human being with all the attendant discord and suffering. Sattva dominates the man of spiritual inclination and is characterized by knowledge and harmony. The reference here is to chapter 14 of the Gita, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yogaha, and verses 11 to 13. सर्वद्वारेषु देहेऽस्मिन् प्रकाश उपजायते ज्ञानं यदा तदा विद्याद् विवृद्धं सत्त्वमित्युत. When illumination, that is knowledge, is born in all the sense organs in this body, then one may know indeed that sattva is predominant. लोभः प्रवृत्तिरारम्भः कर्मणामशमस्पृहा रजस्येतानि जायन्ते विवृद्धे भरतर्षभ. Arjuna, the foremost in the clan of Bharata, greed, physical restlessness, undertaking of activities, mental restlessness, longing, these are born when Rajas has increased. Aprakasho pravrittischa pramado moha evacha tamasyetani jayante vivriddhe kuru nandana. Arjuna, the joy of the Kuru family, dullness, absence of activity, indifference, and indeed delusion, these are born when tamas has increased. The man of tamas eats unclean food. So, reference to the Gita, chapter 17, verse 10. Yatayamangatarasam puti paryushitancha yat uchishtam cha medhyam bhojanam tamasapriyam. Food which is stale or inadequately cooked, from which the essence has gone, which is putrid, overnight refuse, and also unfit as an offering, is beloved to a tamasika person. As a worker, he's talking about the man of tamas. As a worker, he is unsteady, arrogant, deceitful, despondent, and procrastinating. So the reference here is to Gita 18.28, chapter 18, verse 28. Ayuktah prakritastabdhash shatho naishritiko lasah विषादी दीर्घसूत्री च कर्ता तामस उच्यते. The one who is disturbed, immature, irreverent, deceptive, cruel, lazy, given to sadness, and a procrastinator is called a tamasa doer. He undertakes, again man of tamas, all his actions out of delusion, heedless of the consequences. So this is a reference to Gita. All his actions out of delusion, heedless of the consequences. So this is again from the Gita, chapter 18, verse 25. Anubandham kshayam himsam anavekshya cha paurusham mohadarabhyate karma yattattamasamuchyate. That action which is begun, not taking into account the natural consequence, loss, injury, that is to others, and one's own capacity because of delusion, is called tamasa. If he gives gifts, again the man of tamas, he does so to the wrong person at the wrong place or time or in the wrong way. So this is to the reference to Gita, chapter 17, verse 22. Adesha kale yaddanam apatrebhyascha diyate asatkritam avajñātan tattamasamudahritam. That charity which is given without respect, improperly, and contemptuously at the wrong place and wrong time, and to unworthy recipients, is called tamasika. If he worships the man of tamas, he does so without real faith and charity. So this is a reference to the Gita, again chapter 17, verse number 13. Vidihinamasrishtanam mantrahinamadakshinam shraddha virahitai yajñan tamasam parichakshate. They say that a ritual which is bereft of the stipulations of Shastra, without distribution of food, without proper recitation of mantras, without distribution of wealth, and without Shraddha is tamasika. He is deluded, as the man of tamas is deluded by superstitions and practices austerities to harm others. This is Gita chapter 17, verse 19. Mudhagrahenatmano yat pīdaya kriyate tapah parasyo sadhanartham va tattamasamudahritam. That tapas which is done due to deluded understanding, by afflicting one's body or for the sake of destroying one another, is called tamasika. So all these were characteristics of the man of tamas. Next, the man characterized by rajas. The man characterized by rajas, or passionate activity, prefers food which is bitter, sour, hot, and pungent. So this is chapter 17, verse 9. Katvam lalavanātyushna tīkshna rūksha vidāhinah āhāra rajasasyeshta dukkha shokamaya pradaha. Foods that are bitter, sour, salty, excessively hot, pungent, astringent and burning, that give pain, sorrow and ill health, are highly desired by Rajasika people. The man characterized by Rajas is too attached to his work and to selfish interests, or maybe to other people and their interests. He is over anxious about the fruits of action, and all his actions are for the satisfaction of desires or vanity. He is greedy, violent, easily elated or downcast, prone to fear and worry. So this is a reference to chapter 18, verse number 27. Ragi karma phala prepsur lubdho himsatmako shuchihi harsha shokanvita karta rajasaf parikirtitah. The one who has a predominant of raga, which is basically attachment, and a predominant desire for the result of action, who is greedy, whose nature is to hurt, who is not clean, and who is subject to elation and depression, is called a Rajasa doer. The man of Rajas gives gifts grudgingly for the sake of a return, aiming at fruits. Yattu pratyupaka, this is verse chapter 17, verse number 21. Yattu pratyupakarartham phalamuddishya va punaha diyate cha pariklishtan taddanam rajasam smritam. On the other hand, that charity which is given for the sake of being helped in return, or keeping in view a result, that is punya, to be gained later, and that which is fraught with pain, is considered Rajasika. He performs even worship for the sake of results or for show. So this is a reference to chapter 17, verse number 12. Abhisandhaya tu phalam dambhartamapi chaiva yat ijyate bharata shrestha tanyajñam vidhi rajasam. On the other hand, may you know that ritual which is performed, keeping a result in view, and also just to proclaim one's own religiosity, is Rajasika. Arjuna, the greatest among the descendants of Bharata. If he practices that the man who just practices austerities, it may be to gain respect or power, and he does so ostentatiously. So this is the reference to chapter 17, verse number 18. Satkaramana pujarthan tapodambhena chaiva yat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasanchala madhruvam. That tapas, which is done for the sake of receiving honor, respect and worship, and with ostentation, which is unsteady and not lasting, is called here Rajasika. Now we're talking about the man characterized by Sattva, or the man of Sattva. The man characterized by Sattva or harmony takes food that promotes strength and health, longevity, and which is clean and wholesome. So this is chapter 17, verse number 8. Ayus sattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhana rasya snigdha sthira hridya ahara satvika priyaha. Succulent, creamy, fortifying and pleasing foods which increase longevity, mental clarity, strength, health, pleasure and taste, and aesthetic pleasure are loved by Satvika people. He works free from attachment and egotism, being endowed with fortitude and enthusiasm, unaffected by success or failure. So this is a reference to verse 18, number 26. Mukta sango nahau, chapter 18, verse 26. Mukta sango nahau vadi dhrityutsaha samanvitaha siddhya siddhyor nirvikara Karta Satvika Uchyate. The one who is free from attachment, who has no egotism, who is endowed with resolve and enthusiasm, and is unperturbed in success and failure, is called a Satvika doer. His actions are the man of Sattva. His actions are performed conscientiously but with detachment, without desire for reward or anxiety about results. So this is a reference to chapter 18, verse number 23. Niyatam sangarahitam ragadveshatakritam aphala prepsuna karma yattat satvikam uchyate. That action which is enjoined and which is done without attachment, without being impelled by likes and dislikes, by a person without a binding desire for result, is called Satvika. He gives gifts, that is a man of Sattva, with compassion to those who can make no return, and at the right time and at the right place. So this is a reference to chapter 17, verse number 20. Datavyamiti yaddanan diyate nupakarine deshe kale cha patre cha taddanam satmikam smritam. That charity which is given to one from whom one does not expect a return, in the proper place at the proper time and to a worthy recipient, thinking it is to be given, is considered Satvika charity. He undertakes the threefold austerity with deep faith and purely for spiritual end. The austerity of the body includes cleanliness, chastity and non-violence, speaking words that give no offense and are at the same time truthful and beneficial, and reciting sacred texts. These are his austerity of speech. He is often silent, his mind being engaged with thought spiritual. The cultivation of such silence, along with serenity, self-control, and purity of heart, constitutes his austerity of mind. All these describe the man of Sattva. Devad Vijagur, this is a reference to chapter 17, verses 14 through 17. Devad Vijaguru Pragnya Pujanam Shauchamarjavam Brahmacharyam Ahimsacha Sharirantapa Uchyate. Worshipping deities, Brahmanas, teachers and wise people, external cleanliness, straightforwardness, self-discipline, and not physically hurting are collectively called discipline of the physical body. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitancha yat swadhyayabhyasananchaiva vangmayantapa uchyate. Speech which does not cause agitation, which is true, pleasing and beneficial, and daily repetition of one's own Veda are collectively called discipline of speech. Manah prasada saumyatvam maunamatma vinigrahah bhava samshuddhirityetat tapomanasamuchyate. Mental cheerfulness in expression, absence of pressure to talk, mastery over the mind, clean intent. This, that is these together, is called mental discipline. Shraddhaya paraya taptan tapastatrividhannaraihi aphalakankshibhir yuktais satvikam parichakshate. That threefold tapas, observed with total shraddha by people who have no expectation of results other than mental purity and who are composed, is called Satvika. There are various schools of thought with regard to the formation of our instincts. The behaviorist holds that environment plays the greatest part. The introspectionist, on the other hand, believes that instincts are natural impulses or urges innate in an organism, and that we are not simply products of environment or creatures of reaction through outside stimuli. The organism itself has an evolutionary urge to change, the elan vital. Some biologists and psychologists trace our instincts to childhood days and even go so far as to attribute all of them to our parents and ancestors. There are other Western thinkers who believe that ethereal beings are born in human bodies, complete with their own uh, innate tendencies, desires and passions. Thomas Huxley, a great evolutionist and supporter of Darwin, held that every sentient being is repeating what he has sown, if not in this life, in one or other of the infinite series of antecedent existences, of which this is the latest term. His conclusion was that, like the doctrine of evolution itself, the doctrine of transmigration has its roots in the world of reality. We are born with certain tendencies innate in the organism, and that is why the organism reacts as it does to outside stimuli. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna gives the ancient Hindu view that just as the embodied self passes through the stages of childhood, youth, and old age in one body, even so does it pass into another body. Here the reference is to chapter 2, verse number 13. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaran yauvananjara tatha dehantara praptir dhirastatra namuhyati. Just as for the jiva, the indweller of this body, there is childhood, youth, and old age. Similar is the gaining of another body. With a reference to that, a wise person does not come to grief. Just as a person casts off worn out clothes to put on others that are new, so the indwelling self casts off worn out bodies and enters into others which are new. Chapter 2, verse number 22, very famous verse. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinhati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnanyanyani sanyati navani dehi. Just as a person gives up old clothes and takes up new ones, so does the self, the one who dwells in the body, gives up old bodies and takes up others which are new. But we carry our habits and tendencies with us. The ancestors to whom we trace our habits and tendencies are none other than ourselves. Instead of making scapegoats of our ancestors and blaming them for all our ills, let us take full responsibility on ourselves for our present condition and then try to change ourselves for the better. This is the most practical view. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.